Okay, but seriously, you guys. Was I just completely oblivious as a child? I'm starting to think I was just completely oblivious as a child. So, yesterday, the day before yesterday, I started doing this tick in my throat. And when I did that, I was like, it's not a new tick. I recognize this tick. Oh yeah, I used to do that tick when I used to type in the air. Back in like grade school, high school. What? Yeah, so doing the throat tick, doing that, I recognized it as something I used to do. When I was like a teenager. So we had this typing program that I started doing when I was like, I don't know, 12 to 14 at the most, probably around closer to 12 than 14, but I don't know. I don't remember for sure. So we got this Mavis Beacon teaches typing, and it was the bomb. It was like the coolest program. And like I loved playing the games on that to improve my typing, and I got really, really good at typing really fast. But after we had that, and I was like, after I did that, I started typing words in the air. And usually, like the most common words I would type would be okay, fine, and really. And I would have to type them like over and over and over again. And sometimes it would be like I would type a string of conversation I had heard or something else. Okay, fine, and really were like the three that I did predominantly in like combinations over and over again. And I didn't remember this. Why didn't I, like, you may remember, if you've watched my earlier videos, I did one pretty early on where I said something along the lines of, I never had any tics as a kid growing up. I mean, I've thought about it a long time, and you would think I would notice something like that. But I never actually had tics, as far as I can remember, and I have thought about this a lot. I cannot think of any tics that I had growing up. I don't remember this being a thing growing up at all. And you would think I would have noticed at some point. So, yeah. But what does doing this repeatedly over and over again look like to you? So the throat clicking thing, I recognized that as something I used to do when I would do the typing, like especially when I would hit the K in the word okay, like it'd be like okay. I don't even know what to do with this information, quite frankly. I'm just stymied. So then, that leads me to point 2. Today, this afternoon, evening, I started this thing where I would, like, just gasp in air and, like, let it out. And I was like, well, that's annoying. But then later in the evening, it turned into just like over and over and over again. And guys, I recognized that too. I used to do that when I was like I don't know, 10? I don't even, like, time is not, I'm having a hard time really specifically identifying when these events happened. But it was definitely before the typing, I think. Definitely, I think. But I remember telling my mom that it felt like I couldn't get enough air. And I'd be like, and just like sucking in just like as much air as I possibly could and letting it out. And it felt like I just couldn't. It wasn't enough. And so like at the time, it just felt like I was doing it because I couldn't get enough air. But doing it when it happened this evening, I recognized it as this is just a way that my body is ticking right now. It's just doing this thing as a tick. Like, are you kidding me? Is it possible that I actually had ticks that I didn't even, like, really notice that much? Or didn't think anything of? And couldn't come up with these ticks when I was trying to think in my head, okay, well, let's see. Have I ever had ticks in my life before? I'm like, no, I don't think so. Guys, I'm just like, I feel like an idiot. I really feel like an idiot. So yeah. I don't know what this means. It's a very interesting situation, to say the least. Yeah. That's all I got. Oh, also, really quick. So, funny story time. So, obviously I say the F-bomb occasionally, frequently, at times. But I don't really use any other swear words. Like I don't tick very many other swear words. I've said a couple like once or twice, but they're not an actual, like, they don't turn into a tick, like a frequent tick. But today I started ticking arrogant. The word arrogant. So it's just like arrogant, 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 arrogant. Like, what is this? This is apparently my version of swearing. I don't know. It's like arrogant, arrogant, arrogant. Beats me. Also, I've been listing off like lists of produce. I'm like, I can't do it. Like, since I'm not, not ticking it right now. But it's just like strings of like, I'll say like carrots, mangoes, bananas, watermelon, rutabaga. Like really fast. And usually inevitably it ends with an F-bomb. And I'm like, wow, that was fun. So yeah, that was my story. It's yeah, homeschool version of swearing apparently is arrogant, arrogant, arrogant. I don't know, but yeah. So, what do you guys think? I'm kind of like over here, like I don't even know what to do with this recently retrieved information. So let me know your thoughts.